Welcome, everyone, and thanks for joining us for Making Sales Social Live, coming to you from the Social Sales Link virtual studios and brought to you by AskSSL.ai. If you're watching us live right now, there's a QR code, which way, that way. And you can click on that and find out more there about our fantastic AI product. I'm Bob Woods. I'm joined by Stan Robinson Jr. and Bryn Tillman. How you all doing today?
Just ducky, Bob. Just ducky.
Yeah.
Excellent, thanks.
Excellent, excellent, excellent stuff.
Uh,
So I think, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think our bias here at Social Sales Link towards using LinkedIn for starting sales conversations without being salesy is pretty much well known. Thing is, we don't own LinkedIn. And guess what? You don't own LinkedIn either. Microsoft does. So we are at the mercy of whatever Microsoft and LinkedIn decide to do about the platform, no matter what it is they do. And as we all know, they do a lot of things, and we're just going to leave it there when it comes to that. This means, though, that we can't rely on LinkedIn alone, and that's the key word there, alone, to build our pipeline. What we do have, however, are our own email lists. Once you have a qualified opt in list, it is yours. So, what we want to do in this episode is help you bridge the gap between LinkedIn and your own email list. So, you'll have a seamless experience that drives more leads, which is very important, obviously, right, guys?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm excited to talk about this. I mean, we talk a lot about lead magnets. We talk a lot about content that drives an email list. But I'm very excited to really break it down today and say, okay, so now we might have this lead magnet. How are we getting people there using LinkedIn? So, woohoo!
yes,
Woohoo.
indeed.
Exactly. Stan,
And
anything?
just much as we love LinkedIn, it's sometimes it's hard to remember that it's rented property. And we when we connect with someone on LinkedIn, we're a first degree connection, but they still own the platform. And Bob, as you said, they can do anything that they want at any time. So
They
with an
also
email
do.
list, as long as you pay for your subscription, it's yours.
I
Yes.
love it.
Yeah.
All
Yeah, and
right.
actually, as long as you have a copy of it on your own computer, that's what's really important. So I think that's kind of an obvious thing to remember, but always keep a copy of your email list, no matter what email provider that you're using. Make sure you have your own copy
Yes.
as well. So with that, we have promised 7 different ways to leverage LinkedIn to build a qualified email list. So, as they used to say on the radio when radio was a thing, let's get the countdown started.
All
With
right, Casey
number
Kasem.
Yes, exactly, Casey Kasem. Number 1, use a LinkedIn banner image with a clear call to action. So your profile background banner is valuable real estate, and it's really an amazing place to add a call to action. Most people don't even use the background banner at all. Of those who do use it, numbers are getting smaller here. They use it, just kind of okay. And then there are others who do have a really good graphic and things like that up there. But the one thing that they probably don't have is a link or a QR code that takes your viewers to a landing page with a valuable download or sign up for an event, get your newsletter, that type of thing. The other thing that you need to remember is that your banner is dynamic. In other words, you can change that sucker as often as you'd like. So think of it as like one of those billboards that you see at the side of the road, but they're electronic billboards and they update with like different messages and things like that. You can do a similar type of thing with your own banner there. So you can change that stuff all the time. And if you have a premium account, you can upload up to 5 different banners at
Yeah, so
once.
I'd love to chat. Look, so now this is great. I love this. what are we driving them toward, right? We want their email, but we have to, they are actually purchasing something from us. Even though we say it's free, they're buying it with their email. So we have to make sure that whatever it is that we're offering, and we're starting with banner, but really all the way through, that what they are getting in, so it's the ask offer ratio. I'm asking you to invest in with your email for my content. And we have to make sure that when they do that, that they're getting extreme value from that content. Because if we, first of all, we want them to stay opted in, right? So that's really important. And we want to make sure that they say, wow, that was a really good purchase. And I know you're like, purchase, it was free. It wasn't free. Content on LinkedIn that's ungated is free. They can stay anonymous. That's free. But when they have to give you their email, when it's gated content, that's actually a very small purchase, but a purchase nonetheless. So we have to make sure that it's absolutely incredible value. And Michael Port in his Book Yourself Solid, said something that just sticks in my head all the time, which is give away so much value that you're afraid you gave too much, and then give more. And this is so important when it comes to collecting emails, from getting emails. It's really absolutely essential that we are giving too much value, because that's what helps us convert down the road, right? We want to build an email list, but we want to build an email list of people that are excited to continue to get content from us. So that first piece is really important. So from the banner, and we can talk about lead magnets and what that looks like. I don't know. I'm sure we've talked about them before. We can talk about it again. But this is the opportunity. In your banner, give a one-liner hook. Download the ebook. Bob, you said, register for the event. Whatever that might be. In some cases, you could even have a QR code to vote on a poll, because it's dynamic. When that 2-week poll is up, you change it out with a different link, with a different QR code. So the goal here is to really resonate with your profile visitor in a way that they want to opt in to that email. So just a thought.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's funny that you mentioned lead magnets and the featured section, because that is number 2. So that is actually featuring your lead magnet in the featured section of your profile. So the featured section, another section that people sleep on, and they really shouldn't, because we refer to it as the scroll stopper, because it usually has a graphic associated with each item that's in there. It breaks up all of the text of the otherwise very texty profile. So people will tend to stop there and look at what's in your featured section. So you should put a lead magnet or your lead magnets in there, or any other type of copy that is actually going to draw people to some place where they may put in an email address, just like Bryn said, so that they could gain access to that very, very valuable copy, and value driven, value deliverable, something like that copy. So you can include links, posts, rich media, so much more in that featured section. And we do advise changing that out as well, just like you would up in the banner at the top of the fold of your profile.
Yep. The
Good
beauty of the
talk.
featured section is it has nice big thumbnail images that catch people's eye, and it's still toward the top of your profile. One thing about banners that we mentioned the QR codes. The beauty of them is someone can just take a picture and go straight to wherever you want them to go. You can put a URL there, but just keep in mind it's not clickable. They've got to type it in. Um, so last thing is, we've mentioned lead magnets several times. For those of you who aren't in marketing, it's just a way where you can offer, as Bryn mentioned, valuable content in return for their email address.
So I just in real time updated my featured section. It says download lead magnet made easy. So I just go to my LinkedIn, Bryn Tillman, and scroll down to the featured section, and you can actually download a lead magnet made easy guide. Big win on both of those areas. I'll actually even put in leadmagnetmadeeasy.com will take you directly, but if you want to see it in the featured section, there you go.
Very good. Very good. So with that, let's get to number 3, which is adding opt-in links to your profiles to the website section. So there's a newer feature that's available at the top of your LinkedIn profile called website. You can add a link that will appear at the top of your profile. You can refer that to a landing page, an event, a download here type of thing. And then you can actually name that link in the link box there as well. Now, there's one tip that I actually got from a podcast interview that I did, I think last month or 2 months ago. I'm not sure if it's actually aired yet, and I don't remember who it was from, but I thought it was a brilliant idea. People are always like, "Oh, how do you track stuff from LinkedIn to blah 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 or whatever?" This is a perfect opportunity for you to put a tracking code in there so that it will track that website, that incoming link from LinkedIn. You can actually put the tracking code in there so that you know that it's coming from your LinkedIn profile. I thought that was just brilliant. It's one of those, I should have thought of that type of thing before, but I never thought of it. And it's a great suggestion.
That's awesome. So I just updated on my profile. That's how easy this is, guys. I'm doing it
Yeah.
live. In under my location, they'll say ebook lead magnet made easy, right? And so that is whatever your lead magnet is, that's where that goes, right? And so just make sure that it's very clear what they're going to get when they click through.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. And then obviously when they click through and they download it, you get the email address, which goes back to the entire reason why we're here. And that's, leveraging LinkedIn to build a qualified email list.
Yeah. So
Next
the
one.
other thing I'd say as you're building this out, I just want to share this as a side note. You want to have a very solid drip campaign. I know that sounds, but like they've now given you the email. The first email they should get is download this ebook. But then you can have maybe 3 or 4 drips over the next couple of weeks that help them to implement that stuff, right? Like continue to bring value and then have a call to action. If you want a little bit, if you want to explore how to implement this better, let's set up a time to talk. Or maybe if it's I downloaded an ebook now, I want to get them to an event, right? So think about what do you want them to do next that's valuable to them, not buy something necessarily. Although if you've earned the right, there is a point where you can absolutely offer that, but you need to continue to build that value. I know I went off the rails there, Bob. Bring me back in. Reel me back in.
That kind of makes sense right there. Okay. Excellent stuff. And that was great. Definitely wouldn't want to exclude it. So next one is number 4, and that has to do with including call to action links inside your content. So we have focused primarily on the profile. Definitely don't only do this stuff in your profile. You really should be doing it inside every piece of content that you share somehow. Many experts say that putting a link in your post will negatively affect the algorithm, but the pros may outweigh the cons, especially with your goal of wanting people to get to your CTA so that you can get their email address. So, if you have an ebook, an event, everything that we have been talking about here, include a link by editing your post 10 minutes later or placing a QR code in the image of the post that you're talking about that you've already written. Those are two clever ways to create a CTA that doesn't bury your post because of the LinkedIn algorithm.
Yeah, and often I will put in, so like join our next free event at socialsaleslink.com/events. I will have, like, so it's another free thing, right? So you've got great content. This is not a lead magnet anymore, right? Like this, it might be, but in this case,
Mhm.
maybe we talk about how to write a authentic prompt in your voice.
Yep.
Maybe that's the content, and then want to learn more, join our next free event. And then we have a page that it goes to, and when they sign up for the free event, we're capturing their email. So all of these things are about I add value and I earn the right to get their email.
Yep. Absolutely. 100%. So with that, anything to add to that, Stan?
Only one thing you mentioned at the very outset, Bob, which was an opt-in email list. Just keep in mind, I know we're moving into the topic of email in addition to LinkedIn, that the option to opt out needs to be prominent in the emails that you send. And one thing you do not want to do is download your LinkedIn connections, pull in their email addresses to like a constant contact, and blast them with an email without their permission. Again, that
Yep.
may go without saying, but since we're talking about it, I figured let's mention it.
And that's the reason LinkedIn changed. You don't get everyone's emails anymore. They have to opt into it. So maybe 1 out of 20 or 30, you have an email. But
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
been a victim of that.
Yep.
I've been a victim of, like, the moment I connected with someone on LinkedIn, I'm now in their email list.
Mhm.
Yep.
But the key, and I know I'm jumping ahead, is the next one the welcome message?
Yeah, let's just go ahead and just roll right into that.
Okay,
So why
so
don't you just go ahead and just run with it, Brent?
okay, what number is this?
Number 5.
Number 5, your welcome message. So often, I'll, especially if I'm accepting a connection request, someone that asked me to connect, I have a welcome message that says, thanks for connecting. I'm not sure if social selling is a priority for you, but we've got free content around X, Y, and Z. Let me know if you're interested. I'm happy to send a link. We've got, right. And so now it's permission based. If they don't answer, I don't add them, but I'm making sure to touch every single person that I've accepted a connection request from. Remember, they connected with me. So I have no problem asking them if they'd like more information. I may even at that point, and I almost always do, have a PS may ask how you found me,
Mm.
to find out, how did they get to me? Maybe it was a referral, maybe it was something else, and that might change the kind of content that they want or need. So I really find that welcome message to be very, very powerful. And we have over 11,000 people that have opted into our free public library over the last 11 years. Many of them came from that welcome message.
Mm.
Yep.
They came from, great to be connected here. That's, I would say, probably the majority of them came from there.
Yep.
Others might have come through signing up for events or downloading ebooks, but the majority are really that welcome message. So,
Excellent. Excellent stuff. So with that, Stan, do you have number 6 in front of you, and do you want to handle it, or should I set you up for it at least?
The number 6 is ask their perspective. And And there are different ways to do this, both kind of formally if you are writing an ebook and you'd like to get their perspective on that, because we
Oh,
have a
that's
whole
good.
set of campaigns around that. Or it could be something simpler, just in terms of asking their opinion. But Rob and Brent, anything you'd like to add in terms of that? Go ahead and run with it in terms of ask their perspective.
Yeah, I love that, right? And there are different ways you can do this. There are You could have a form like a Google form, but recognize if you're doing that and they're not signing up directly on your website, that they need to check a box that says you can add me to your email list. You have to be careful with that. So getting their perspective is fantastic, but we've got to make sure that we're doing it the right way. Another way to do that, if you do have forms inside of your, in your, like we use Kajabi for everything. So they have automatic forms where we can add those, the questions that where we can gather their insights, but they're also opting into Kajabi at the same time. It's all the criteria is there. But I really love that, especially if we're going to go out and now mention them, right? So I love your perspective to quote in an ebook, to quote in a blog post. Um, and they click through, they fill it out, we've got their information, we mention them when it goes live. um, and not only do we have their email, but we're also promoting their perspective. So Stan, I love that one. That's a great one.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So let's get to the final one. And that's earning the right to their email address when they are scheduling a call with you. Now, this is one of those things where you're going to hear it and hopefully you're going to say, wow, why didn't I think of that? Because I said the same thing until I actually read this, and I think it's absolutely brilliant. So use your calendar link system. We use Calendly here, if that rings a bell. Some of you may have a different one. So, in other words, a calendar scheduler that, when they can have insight into your calendar and then schedule something to their time as long as their time matches with your time, that type of thing. But use your calendar link system to opt in your call schedulers into your email list.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds simple, also brilliant as well. Now you have to be sure to be completely transparent that, that if they click on the box or whatever, that they'll be opted in. And of course, always offer the option to opt out with another quick checkbox, depending on how you want to do it. Because this is a great way to do things because they are already proactively interested in having a conversation with you. So if they want to have a conversation with you, hopefully they will also want to see the valuable content and make sure that it's valuable content that you're sending. That's one of our rules. That they can benefit from. In other words, you're continuing to build the relationship through the content because you are using your email list and the content that you are sending effectively.
I love all of that stuff, and I think it can make such a huge difference when you move them and now you're touching them in two different places, right? You're on LinkedIn with your stuff, but you're sending content as well. I'm going to give one big warning. Make sure that what you are sending in an email, whether it's a newsletter, a weekly update, whatever that is, that you have detached from what that prospect is worth to you and attached to what you are worth to that prospect. Meaning that content needs to be what they want to consume. Can you have a call to action at the end? Yes. We often will have, something you want to join a class, a sales navigator class, $197, but it's rarely, occasionally at the top, but we've earned the right because we've earned the right over time. But other content in that newsletter is going to bring great value beyond trying to just sell something. So, and if you do have a one off sell something, you better have earned the right over weeks and months and even years. so that otherwise you're going to get some mass opt outs.
Yep.
Okay, I'm done.
100%. 100%. Anything to add there, Stan?
Nope. Bryn hit it on the head. Lead
Yeah.
with value, provide more value than you ask in return, and provide the value first. Because the
Yeah.
mistake most people make is starting with promotional content before they provide value.
Yeah. Provide it first, provide it always. That's a good way to
Awesome.
look
All
at
right.
things.
Let's
I
take it
like.
in for
Yeah.
a landing, my friends.
We are control tower. We are clear to come in. So whether you've been with us live or recorded via our podcast, thanks for joining us for this episode of Making Sales Social Live, sponsored by AskSSL.ai. Now we do these live sessions every week, so join us, and we're glad that you're here today too. But if you're listening to us on our podcast and you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and hit that subscribe or follow button. And we love comments as well. So, besides these LinkedIn Lives, we also interview leaders and experts in sales, marketing, business, and many more areas. So, catch those episodes as well. They're always fun and they're always educational. If you'd like more information on our podcast, go to socialsaleslink.com/podcast. That could not be easier. So, when you are out and about this week and every week, be sure that you're making your sales
Social.
Social.